So this whole booster debate has been fairly unusual from the start. And one of the complicating factors here is that the WHO has adamantly opposed the use of boosters in wealthy countries that have pretty high vaccination rates. They say those doses should go to the rest of the world. What do you make of that? Is it a zero-sum game? The US has recently announced that it's going to double its donation of Pfizer doses globally. So I think the metric is that for every booster given here, there will be 3 doses given globally. So, I mean, what do you think of that argument? Do you think that's a valid concern, or do you think it's more complicated than that?
Well, I think the challenge around the global distribution of vaccines, especially in austere environments in low and middle income countries, is going to be a challenge of getting the vaccines distributed. It's not going to be a supply issue going forward. There's going to be a lot of supply entering the market, and I can break that down. But I don't believe it is a zero-sum game. The bottom line is the Biden administration has purchased 200 million doses of Pfizer vaccine and 200 million doses of Moderna vaccine. And those doses are going to be used within the United States. And if they're not used, they're going to be stockpiled as a matter of our own national security. I suspect that the administration is going to want to have access to enough vaccine to revaccinate the entire population should something unexpected happen, should a new variant emerge where you have to quickly revaccinate the population. So a dose used here in the United States isn't a dose that isn't going to be used overseas. We've now distributed 6 billion doses globally, collectively across all the companies. If you just break down where the Western manufacturers are, Pfizer is committed to produce about 4 billion doses over the next 12 months. Moderna has said they'll produce 3 billion. J&J is producing hundreds of millions of doses, and they're going to be ramping up their supply. AstraZeneca is producing billions of doses. The Serum Institute in India is going to be producing billions of doses. The Chinese manufacturers are, the Russians are as well. And Sanofi is going to enter this market at some point, I believe, and has capacity to produce a tremendous amount of vaccine. You know, collectively, there's going to be between 10 and 15 billion doses produced over the next 12 months. 6 billion have already been distributed, 380 million here in the United States. Most of the Western world has been largely vaccinated. There's obviously pockets of under-vaccination in all the Western countries, but a lot of doses have already been administered. So, you know, this isn't going to be a supply issue going forward. The global population is 7.6 billion, I believe. We've distributed 6 billion doses already. Obviously, that's not 6 billion people vaccinated, but the difficult part is going to be getting into countries where you don't have the cold chain storage, you don't have the same logistics, and also convincing people to take this vaccine. We've seen vaccine hesitancy here in the United States and in other European countries. There's going to be a lot of hesitancy across the world, especially when you try to put a Western vaccine into some of these markets. So it's going to be hard to get people to take the vaccine. It's going to be hard to distribute the vaccine. We've seen challenges just with the polio eradication program, how difficult it can be. So I don't know that there is enough focus and dialogue around the distribution issues. The WHO seems to be fixated on the supply issues and browbeating the Western manufacturers in the United States. I don't see as much action on the part of the WHO actually putting resources into these countries to get the logistics in place to distribute the vaccine. That's where we're going to have to pour enormous amounts of money because of the challenge in doing that.